Welcome again. I'm Mark Monto of TUFF, and these are all my co-hosts again, and special guests. Deanna Avery, LeeAnne Walters, and Jay Berryman. So welcome back. We were talking on the last show about, what were we talking about? You had asked LeeAnne a question.
We were talking about water samples.
Water samples. And what exactly did you have? Help me out.
So in the beginning, when Flint tested all the water, so then all those samples were incorrect, correct?
All the tests they were doing for the federal guidelines, all the tests that even after it was considered a crisis, into end of January 2016, all of those samples were tested with loopholes. None of those were true samples.
Wow.
And see, in January of 2016, I had a meeting up in DC with Joel Bouvet, which was the assistant to Gina McCarthy, who was the head of EPA at the time. And I went into that meeting to show him that even though we had EPA on the ground in Flint, even though we had this federal emergency declared, even though we were a crisis, they were still testing with the wrong bottles. And they were still using the same guidance sheet that they had been. And Joel was dumbfounded. He freaked. I can say that because of me proving that within 24 hours, he stuck to his word. He made sure within 24 hours that all the right bottles were in Flint and that the guidance sheet was changed to reflect no loopholes going forward.
And of course, you got all kinds of apologies from Flint saying, "Sorry, we didn't know," or.
But see, but the thing is, it's not illegal. It's happening across the United States. It's not just Flint that tests with loopholes.
Right.
The whole U.S. is doing it.
Right.
I've gathered. I think I still need.
Isn't that the way though? It is, too many things is they find things to fit their version of the regulation. I mean, this is still within the law, but let me make it to my advantage versus doing it the right way.
Right.
I mean.
I've been gathering guidance sheets since 2015 from the other states, and I won't say how many states I won't say what states I have and which ones I don't, because the last time I put it out there, I got slack and quit getting sheets.
Oh, okay.
But I think I still need 11. But out of all the sheets that I've gathered, there's only 10 states that I can confirm that test in accordance to the law.
Really?
Everybody else does not.
So can that be changed? Can the loopholes be eliminated?
Yes, because what happened...
That's good with all the states.
Right, but because of what happened in Flint, because, it's a federal law, that's how they all have to use the same loopholes.
Right.
But because of what happened in Flint, EPA promised us that by 2018, end of 2018, we would have a rough draft of a new lead and copper rule with the loopholes eliminated. And then that got extended to 2019. And then when I sat down with the head of EPA in April of this year, the answer I got was, we don't know, it's been postponed indefinitely. So that's why we're still fighting to get the lead and copper rule changed. It's like my personal mission,
right.
So that what happened in our city and our kids never happens again, because no child ever needs to be poisoned by their water again. Right. Not by lead, not by anything.
So basically, your whole goal is to make sure that it's tested the right way.
Yes.
And no loopholes of, you gotta go back to the water bottle opening. That's a great visual versus the big mason jar.
Okay, but think of it this way. These people are paid to protect us.
Right.
They are not paid
to see things their way.
To protect themselves.
Right.
To protect the water,
right.
Water plants, the cities. These things need to be fixed. They need to be addressed. And the only way to do that is to make sure you're testing proper.
So if it's indefinite, what do we do?
We have to keep going up to DC, causing a ruckus, writing to the congressional members. You see, Mark, Miguel, and other people who have worked in lab for the last 25 years, they've never been able to give lead and water a face. Flint was able to do that. You got people talking about that and infrastructure and the problems. We can't lose that. We have to make sure that we use it to change the laws so what happened here doesn't happen anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask one question, LeeAnne, through all of this and the fact that there were updates that needed to be done to our water plant
Mm-hmm.
In my heart of hearts, I still don't feel that that has been taken care of. That they have fixed the issues at the water plant here in Flint, which in my feelings will make it so our water is never safe here until they fix the problems at the water plant.
Well, they haven't. The water plant is a problem, but the bigger problem is our infrastructure.
Right.
Do people realize that when this started, they were estimating we were losing 30-35% of water in the system before it ever reached a home, and we, the residents, pay for that loss. It's not taken off our bill. And then in 2017, it was estimated 40% loss. 2018 is estimated they're losing 50% of the water.
How is that happening?
Because of the broken valves, the cracks in the pipes, the old infrastructure, with how damaged. Okay, we have a very old infrastructure as it is. Maintenance has not been done properly. They haven't stuck to the 100-year plan on infrastructure like most cities have done or do. And so we already had a failing infrastructure to begin with. And then we turn around and this happens, and because of how caustic that water was, it took off an additional 12 years off the life of the pipes. So now we're up to losing 50% of the water because of cracks, broken valves, bad mains, and the fact that we have this huge, our city infrastructure is built for a much larger city than what we have populated with. And the fight there has been to get out the industrial part that is now super funds taken off the transmission lines and make it smaller and focus on that part instead of the infrastructure as a whole, because we don't need all that other stuff. And they won't allow us to do that. But yes, the water treatment plant is a huge problem. But the infrastructure is what's going to,
Right. Because Mark, can I interject here?
Yeah.
Do you remember back in 2000 when we had
The sewage backups. Yep.
sewage backup 3 times in 7 months? And we went into the meetings. We never gave up.
Yep. We kept fighting.
We kept fighting.
Yep.
Remember the big drawings Mr. Yodis had of the whole infrastructure and how he told us at that time, and this was in 2000, how bad our infrastructure
Absolutely.
was. And here we are 18 years later,
It's
our
still there.
infrastructure is
Still
still
there. Yep. They haven't done a thing.
haven't done a thing.
Then the water crisis comes along, 14 years after that, and there's more emphasis on it, and still nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, so I was given a number. I went into a meeting this past Thursday, with a member of MDEQ to discuss the citizen-led chlorine testing that we've been running for the last, I think it was 18 weeks, 19 weeks, off the top of my head. Anyways, an average city, the mains are usually about 50 years old with the 100-year program that I mentioned. In the city of Flint, they're gauging that ours are 88 to 90 years old.
Wow.
Already, with no plan in place to be replacing these things. Because what should happen is, when they start, you should have these, you replace so many mains a year, and you get through it, and by the time you get through your list on your 100-year plan, and you work back around, they should all be about 50 years old, because that's what they're good for, and that's the cycle it should flow with. And ours are estimated to be 88 years old to 90 years old.
Still no plan. Still
no plan in place.
So, did we ever get funding for the infrastructure?
Oh yeah, money came in.
What happened to it?
It disappeared.
Where'd it go?
Nobody knows.
Well, who did it go to?
We have no transparency or accountability in our city.
Who did it go
No.
to, guys?
Why don't you ask our lovely mayor?
Right.
That's kind
That's
of what I was getting at.
just going to say.
We can speak
I'll
up on the
say it.
show.
I'll
We
say
can
it.
speak up on the show. That's
Let's
fine.
ask the mayor and
Yeah,
all
where's
the
the
people
money?
with the deep pockets.
Well, no, and that's kind of what I wanted to bring out at us, is that
yeah.
it went right to, basically the mayor is the one who's controlling these funds, but we haven't seen any of it. And it's honestly, we don't know what happened to it, isn't it?
Well, the problem is that since McDaniels left, he was the one that was running the service line replacement. He's the one that got all those service lines replaced while he was here. Since he's been gone, they are wasting money. Work is not getting done. And this is appalling.
That's
He had a plan in place. He had a 3-man crew and got more done than, there's no way they could catch up to what he did in 1 year.
Yeah.
They are wasting our money, and I understand that they want to make sure that they're not missing any lines. But the thing is, with them hydrovacing, if they are concerned that they're going to miss a lead service line, instead of digging 1 hole, they could dig 6 holes, which would cost $600 total to dig 6 holes versus, what did they say it is, $1,100 or $1,700 for the system they're using now? So what's going to happen when this money runs out? I understand nobody wants to be left behind. I agree with that to a point, but we have to use this money for to benefit the most amount of people that we can.
Right.
And the way they're doing things right now,
It's not going to
they're
happen.
going to run out of money before they ever get to the people that need to be helped.
Right.
Because let's face it, guys, since the federal emergency expired for us, I don't see any more federal funds coming in to do anything for our infrastructure.
No.
No,
And
absolutely
and
not.
I think we're run dry of that. I think that's a thing of the past, unfortunately.
Right.
So we have some exciting news, kind of, in the way of funding, don't we?
Well, we do as residents, yes,
Right. And
not
what-
city.
Right.
So
Keep the city out of it.
yeah, no, this is
I should
resident
have clarified that. That's a good point.
resident run,
Right.
resident based. The Paul Simon,
The one and only.
the one and only, made a $15,000 donation to me,
Wow.
to a nonprofit that I'm partnered with,
Very awesome. Come on, everybody. That's awesome.
Yay.
Right.
to use and help aid our fight in the city of Flint. And so you guys know me. This isn't just my decision, because this is our decision. And so the
She
people,
awesome. See how awesome she is?
She is. She's awesome.
I don't do compliments well.
But she's blushing right now, and she knows it's true. She is awesome.
Thank
She is.
you.
And we all love LeeAnne. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But the people that I trust, the people that I know that I've worked with over the last 3 years, that I know are actually trustworthy, unlike some others that we've worked with that aren't. The minute I knew the money was for sure, and I can prove it by the date on the letter that I sent to you guys, I contacted you guys, and what did I say?
Yeah.
What did I tell you?
What do we do? What's best for the residents? Let's get a
Consensus.
Consensus.
Of what's
Thank you,
the
Jen.
best way to go.
Yeah.
So the one thing that we know for sure that we're using the money for is because I run a citizen-led chlorine sampling to keep the city, making sure that their numbers are accurate, which if you look at the study, our numbers are completely different from the cities. They're flushing for 10 to 30 minutes.
They're still flushing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay, so we'll get into that in 1 second.
Okay.
But I have a good Hawk meter, which is the digital. We have one Hawk meter for digital testing, for the chlorine testing, and then we have the color wheel. And so we all decided that we're gonna get 2 more brand new Hawk meters that also do pH, so that we're gonna spend money that way to make sure we have those going forward for this next spring and summer, for the city of Flint, so that we can make sure our numbers meet their numbers. They're going to match up. And then we're all still trying to figure out, we're still researching right now to see the best way to spend the rest of that money. And then once we figure that out, we'll come on and we'll announce to everybody what we're doing and how we're doing it, because we're all still doing
You'll be
our
the
own
first
research.
to know.
Yes, you will.
Yeah. That's awesome, though, that of course, knowing you, we expect nothing less.
But I want people to know, too, that while we do this, though, I have no problem, and I'm sure you guys won't either, giving complete accountability and transparency to what we're doing and how the money's been spent.
oh,
No.
no, it's got to be.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
All I know is we all know that we're going to do something just a little bit different
Right. Yeah.
with what we
because-
have in mind right now with our research.
While there's been good intentions behind the way it's been applied in the past, I think you're definitely on the right track. We're
Definitely
on the right track. Yes, where we should apply it in a different. Well, I don't want to get into more.
We'll make the big announcement once we get everything together.
But that's
and we have all
awesome.
our facts
That's
straight. So to answer your question, what they do is when the city's up going out and doing their chlorine testing, they go to the sites that they have, and then they flush and get it to whatever temperature it was when it left the water treatment plant. They wait till they get, and that's the other thing we're going to have to get. We're going to have to get temperature gauges now to add to the chlorine sampling. I almost forgot about that. They wait till they get the site to the same temp as the treatment plant, and they take that test number and see what that chlorine is. And from doing the citizen testing, we know some of their sites are 10 minutes, some of their sites, most of their sites are 15, and then we have a few, they have a few that are 30 minutes to get it to that temperature. Now, we as residents, we don't get to find out what that temperature is. All I can tell you is that, especially during the warmer months, that we were seeing a lot of 0 chlorines. And even though it's cold right now, and I'm not going to name the site because I'm not going to call it out publicly right yet, that's their choice if they want it to come out. We still have one site right now in November that's still coming back 0 for chlorine, other than my house that's always 0 since 2015, even with it being cold. And what that means is there's a huge problem because in the summer months it makes more sense because it can get used quicker because the water's warmer and that kind. You usually see really great chlorine numbers in the wintertime when the water's cold. And we still have one site that's 0. So we don't get told the temperature. And so going forward with testing, what we're going to do is we're going to be taking a temperature of the water because with the Hach meter, you're supposed to flush for 5 minutes. That's the standard. And then you gather your sample, and then you take your reading. So now we're going to be taking a temperature at that 5 minute mark when we do our test to see what our temperature's at. If people are coming back at a 0, we're then going to flush to 15 minutes and then flush to 30 minutes, trying to see how long it takes us to get to chlorine. The problem with this is, I don't know any resident that flushes their water for 10 to 15 to 30 minutes before they drink from it.
Right.
And I know nobody's drinking in the city of Flint, but if you look across the U.S., before this happened, did you guys ever flush your water to get it to a certain temperature before you drank
And
it?
I can guarantee you I wouldn't flush my water that long because I'm not going to pay what the water bill would
Right,
be.
that's a great
Exactly.
point. That's a great point.
Right.
What about the color wheel, color wheel thing?
Okay, so the color wheel Hach meter, we have some of those, and we can. I mean, if you guys want to, I think it was like.
Because you taught us how to do that. And
Yeah.
it looked pretty cool.
We still have some of those,
like
and
those.
we're still using those. We just want.
Are they not as effective? I'm sorry.
No, they are, but that one gives it down to the actual number, whereas the color wheel, you're matching a color up, and then it's telling you the range.
Right.
And we want something that's going to be like on par. So like the color wheel, I believe, goes 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8.
Right.
This one, if there's a 0.35 or a 0.27,
In the middle or whatever.
it's going to give you exact amount of chlorine in that water.
Okay, yeah.
And so that's why we do the chlorine testing, we do the color wheel and the Hach meter it's every other week. And then the rest of the weeks it's always done with the color wheel because that's the tools that we have. I have 2 testers that go out. They rotate who's going out when. And so by having these 2 meters, these really expensive meters, both of them will have a Hach meter so that they can make sure they're both getting the same numbers
Do we
and
know
having the
those-
same tools.
Do we know those 2 testers?
We do.
We can say their names. I like to give credit to the whole world. And
Well, I run the program.
because LeeAnne is the chief. But who are the?
My daughter, Kaylee Mosteller, is one of the testers. She actually goes out and does the work, and then when she brings it back, we put together the graphs and charts and stuff for what we're doing.
Awesome.
And then I don't know if I should say it's more. I don't know if it's Carrie or Victoria. They both go out together when they do the testing.
Okay.
But I will say Victoria Weber is the one who does, which is Carrie's daughter. She drives her around to do it, and Victoria does the testing on the weeks that my daughter doesn't do the testing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then
It's a lot of work, an unpaid, totally.
yep.
Volunteer.
Virginia Tech does give them an hourly rate for now. It doesn't mean it's going to continue going into the future.
Right.
Because of the U.S. water study grants that Mark Edwards had gotten into with me being associated with that, I had asked if we could do this chlorine sampling, and he offered to give them, because there are my 2 testers,
Right.
he offered to give them money to help out for doing it.
Well, it's
Because you gotta figure it's like 4 hours worth of work and gas, and you're doing this whole horseshoe shaped testing. So once a week, and with going into next year adding the additional time, it's gonna take a bit longer in the summer months. So, I mean, huge shout out, thank you Virginia Tech for sponsoring us and making this possible. but
Mhm.
it doesn't change our numbers. And then my daughter's boyfriend, Matt Smith, also helps out with testing. So
So yeah, a lot of help all the way
Wonderful
around.
people.
Great people. That's great, and it takes a lot of diligence to do that. Consistently every other week. And
we're also hoping that next year, if we, with everything else that we're working on and everything that we're doing, that we can get more residents involved. And if people want to have their residents home, get volunteers to be able to set up a list of whose homes would like to be tested, and then be able to go out and test people's home for their chlorine, especially during the summer months.
I'm
you
volunteering.
volunteer? Mhm.
You volunteer.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, we can't do everything. Like, we need we need involvement. We need people that aren't gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna help, and then don't show up.
Right. So if someone wants to get a hold of you, say they're watching this and they want to get a hold of you to help out, can they?
Yeah, lwalters313@gmail.com.
Okay, lwalters313@gmail.com. Okay. What's the 313? Do we know what that is?
Yes, but that's personal. I'll explain it to you off air.
So many shows I've done here. Well, that's great. Thanks so much. This is great. We have a little bit more time, though, to talk a little bit more about what else is up for grabs. What else did you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? Okay, let's as a roundtable, let's discuss what do we see the future of our water here, especially with the fact that our water rates can go up 4% every year.
And they're, I mean, are they the highest right now in the country?
8 times the national average.
8 times the
That is
national
so
average.
wrong. Well, there's a lot of people that are stealing the water as well, and I guess we're paying for them too, right?
Okay, but see, what I want to know is there was a lawsuit that was filed that we won in 2015 that said they were supposed to take off the illegal percentages that were added to our water rates, and that each customer was supposed to get $1,000 refund.
Mhm.
Okay, and
That was headed by.
Have any of you seen the check yet?
no, Attorney Val Washington.
Val Washington.
yeah,
That's
I
exactly.
remember that,
Right,
Yep.
and that was in 2000. It was won in August of 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and then we helped get Karen into office, and then she decided to fight that. And they're in talks. They've been in mediation ever since. So
yeah,
is it gonna be $1,000 per year since that judgment? Since it's going, it's been 3 years now.
Sounds like Val would fight for that, though. Sounds like he would, but
But do we know? I feel it should be.
But nobody knows what's going on. Nobody will give any answers on that. And
Right.
No.
if they would drop that water rate down, it'd make people a lot happier. The problem is they use our water. We're their cash cow. They can't afford to run the city without it.
right,
They have no other revenue source.
right,
No.
right. And in the meanwhile, though, like I say, I mean, we're paying them an astronomical amount of money.
Well,
We
my
pay
opinion.
what people in other cities pay for 3 months, we pay in a month.
Absolutely.
And it's
Absolutely.
ridiculous.
Depends on where you are, though, because I know, I show people my water bill, and their water bills are less for 3 months. They get a water bill every 3 months, and their water bill is even less than what we're paying here on a monthly basis.
Yes,
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
That's ridiculous.
Their water bill is anywhere from 120, 125, 130.
And
for
that's
3
for 3
months.
months.
And I mean, I get water bills that are $150, $175 a month, and that's each month.
And what water are you using?
Yeah, we don't even use the water.
I don't know because so the adults shower 2 5-minute showers a week, and I'm only in town 2 weeks out of the month.
Right.
So let's keep that in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I run the dishwasher once a night
Mm-hmm.
after everybody's in bed, so that nobody can be affected by it. And we flush our toilets.
So that's I can see how that's $190 a month. I mean,
Right?
That's crazy.
Right,
That's crazy. But you're right. I mean,
So what are they playing with the numbers or what?
I don't know, because before when my water bill was so high, they were saying it was because my service line was so long. And I did have a really long service line with the old one, but the new one is right in front of my house. So
that's a
I mean, they play with numbers with people's taxes. They're doing
Oh,
it with
yeah.
the water too, I'm sure.
Right. Who came up with the service line is longer? Really?
because
That
the
shouldn't-
amount that it had to go to the house,
Oh,
because
no.
of how
That
long
shouldn't-
I'm just telling you.
I know. Yeah, I know. But we all know where that would be. No.
I mean,
I can tell you, and I mean because I'm single, I live by myself, And I'm not proud to say this, but I have so many clothes that I can go for a month without having to wash. I have laundry stacked up right now, and I'm sure when I go down to one con, which I have done because of the way, and I deliberately let my laundry go. And I go down to one con, which drops my bill down to about $68, where if I do my laundry, it'll jump back up $20, because it takes me a while to do it then.
Okay, but let's think about that number, okay? Before we ever see a water bill, it's almost $60. I don't know if it's raised yet or not, but it's $60 in fees before we
Absolutely.
ever see a drop of water.
Okay.
So essentially, like, you could use like 3-4 cons and you'd just be getting to that number, or you'd be just under that number. It's not that the amount of water we're using isn't really making a difference at this point because the service fees are so freaking high.
Right. And that's on the water bill, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So people they see what they're being charged for, and they can see that $60
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Well, I can state that because when I took over the household after my mother's death, and the water bills at that time were $35 a month.
Yeah.
$35 a month. There was no service fees. Then when they added on those service fees, it jumped up, and I thought, well, isn't this just lovely?
But what changed? Why? I mean, in their
Why they went to doing the service fees is beyond me. Now, LeeAnne, if you can answer that
Well,
for us.
What exactly is the service fee?
The service
They're not doing
fees-
anything out of the ordinary, believe me.
No.
Good point.
But so the service fees that are on there are supposed to be getting used for, anyone want to guess?
Right. Yeah. What?
Guess.
Infrastructure? No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
That's supposed to be getting
they're
put into a
pocketing
fund,
their
the
po-
water fund,
They're pocketing the money again.
to put that in to fix the infrastructure. And that money is legally not allowed to be used for anything but infrastructure, water treatment plant. That's what that money is supposed to be used for. And we all know that that money has been used for a whole lot of other things in the city other than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Mark, because I know how
Yeah,
part
I
of
know what
it
you
was
guys
used.
are talking about. Thinking about-
I'm looking at you. What can I say? That's what they used it for.
Yeah. You're right.
Yep.
I
So they should have a pretty penny sitting down there right now somewhere, right?
You would think.
My
All right, well,
question.
let's just talk about that for a second because this bugs me. We had an emergency manager here. We're supposed to be making financial decisions for our city, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Why the hell would you sell our transmission line to Detroit, to Genesee County? Why wouldn't you lease it to them
Right.
and
Right,
give us
I
a
wonder-
revenue source?
Right.
Absolutely.
Constantly. Yeah. That's a great point. What's their answer?
Nobody can answer that question. Nobody knows. Nobody. Oh, we didn't
Oh,
think of that.
they all
We didn't
play
think about
dumb
that.
down there. They know.
Well,
Because they wanted Flint to go down. What?
that's what I'm thinking.
Their plan is to get rid of everybody in Flint.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Don't even get me started on those new the new apartments
Oh,
and
yeah,
townhouses
yeah, that's
and
another
stuff
thing.
they're building.
I mean, they're building
The
up
waste
all
of money.
downtown, but who wants to come to a city with poison water? I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Well, that's what really irritates me a lot when these people out online, out on Facebook, well, if you don't like it, move. I myself, in all good conscience, and nobody's going to want to buy it anyway, sell my house to somebody that has poisoned water
Right.
in it. I
Right.
can't do that.
No, and we shouldn't have to anyways.
No,
I mean,
we should not have to.
right, especially when it's up to them. So we got like 1 minute left.
All right, let me finish one thing here.
Sure.
When we talked about my water bill, I want people to understand that my 7-year-old twins, because they're children, their stuff doesn't come in contact. No, nothing. Their clothes, their baths,
No, they still
anything.
break out, right?
I won't take the chance.
Okay.
It now takes 19 gallons of water to give them a bath.
And so your
Wow.
bottled water.
Bottled waters, 19 gallons of water to bathe them twice a week.
Wow.
And then we take their stuff to a laundromat outside of the city of Flint because I refuse to let anything come in contact.
Of course.
I wanted to make that clear with how high my water bill is for the 2 weeks that I'm in the city.
So you don't use
You don't
water
even-
for anything.
Pretty hardly nothing, yes.
And you said 190. I know we have a few seconds left. 190, and then so the 60. So the 130 is coming.
I
from
can
flushing
get,
the
I
toilet?
can fluctuate it. Sometimes it's $99, sometimes it's $160.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty standard with us too, and
Yep.
you too.
That's
yeah.
with me mainly. Usually my water bill will run 88. But when I
Yeah,
let the laundry build up and I'm not using it,
less.
it jumps
It
down
jumps.
to, it goes down to $68
Oh, I
and
haven't-
38 cents.
Okay, but I can't imagine when my family of 7 moves back here full time, what that water bill is
Right,
going to look like.
right.
Oh my God, it's going to be
Yeah.
out. of
Even
reach.
doing what you do. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's a car payment.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's do this again. So we got more to talk about. We did say that you're going to come back. You promised.
Yes, I promise.
You got it right here. She will be back.
You got it on tape.
There you go.
LeeAnne Walters, Dan Avery, Dan Berryman, I'm Mark Ponto. Have a good night. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thanks for having us.
Thank